And you have a list on the screen of who we've got, if Gordon is able to zoom in, our participants,
Nobody else. is
Okay.
zoomed in right
but it will show up there if somebody's in. Okay. I'll keep an eye out for that if I see anybody. All right, the Open Meetings Act is posted on the wall. Item 4, consent agenda.
Just started. Poor kid.
Does anybody see anything we need to consider separately?
I don't think so.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Jason will second.
I think we have a motion and a second for the approval of the consent agenda as presented. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Scott McLean.
Aye.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Paul Smith.
Aye. Number 5, approval of the minutes from the January 18th, 2021 board meeting. Should be amended to say final reading and adoption of ordinance 663 instead of second reading.
Is 663 the parking one? No,
The trailer.
the trailer parking one? Okay. We also have that typo still on there at the very end, where it has the, I gotta get to the page, sorry. So under B, Nikki, it says any person who violates any provision of this ordinance shall be subject to the penal provisions of the Arlington Code of the Village. May have any vehicle towed in violation hereof, and such towing shall be at the owner's expense. And then there's like SO sole ordinance expense or something like that afterwards,
Okay, I'll fix it.
just so you know. Otherwise, I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
As amended.
Amended, yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from January 18th, 2021 board meeting as amended. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McLean.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. Unfinished business, item A. Discussion and possible approval of declaring 335 West Elkhorn Street, otherwise known as Thompson Auto, a nuisance property, resolution number 2152021.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 021522021. Chairman of the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Arlington in regular session assembled at the Village Hall in Arlington, Nebraska on this 15th day of February. Hereby resolving as follows, whereas the village desires to declare nuisance pursuant to the Village Code of Ordinances, ordinance number 628, and therefore be it resolved that the following property located within the jurisdiction of the Village of Arlington, Nebraska has been submitted to the Village Board at its regular meeting on May 18th, 2020. AV N 50-foot lot 1 and N 50-foot of west 10-foot lot 2 and 50 of east half vac 4th Street block 52 PC 6, commonly known as 335 West Elkhorn Street, Arlington, Nebraska. And be it further resolved that the village board found at said meeting that said property at 335 West Elkhorn Street, Arlington, Nebraska is declared to have nuisances upon it, contrary to the village's nuisance ordinance, and that said nuisance is ratified by this resolution. Be it finally resolved that the village hereby resolves and declares said property at 335 West Elkhorn Street, Arlington, Nebraska as a nuisance based on such evidence as provided. And generally of all facts and circumstances surrounding said property, its condition and directs the owner to abate the nuisance by March 8th, 2021. The village clerk shall notify the nuisance officer to serve notice upon the violator forthwith.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Nikki, we have a motion and a second for the passage of resolution 02152021. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McLean.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. Item B, review and discussion of nuisance letter to be sent to all residents and business owners.
Do we have a date for the spring cleanup, John, that you could get
It's
the,
in the, it is in the packet.
it says spring cleanup day is just blank.
Yeah,
the letter.
it's farther into the,
Oh, is it down there further?
Under John's.
It's under my-
Oh, under your report, sorry.
it's, first is the second one, the first one is April 24th.
Okay.
April 24th and May 1st, the same as we always do, the 8 to 3.
Otherwise, I thought the letter looked good.
We were just gonna get approval on them 2 dates, if them seems like good dates before we install them in the letter.
Do you want a motion in a second to
Say, yep, send it out, or what do you want?
I think so.
I'll make
And
a,
then put the dates in the motion too.
oh, gotta read them to me again, John.
March 24th and, or April 24th and, is it
May 1st.
May 1st? April 24th and May 1st.
Make the motion to accept the draft of the letter to all residents and business owners of Arlington, Nebraska in regards to our spring cleanup days on April 24th and May 1st, and what key things we are looking for to alleviate nuisance issues.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the nuisance letter and cleanup dates of April 24th and May 1st. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Is there any reason to add to this letter other ordinances like ATV registrations and things like that to remind it since we're sending something out?
That'd probably be good to knock those out too.
Just saying,
And dog
yeah.
licenses, maybe? I don't know. Maybe that's just too much.
Well, maybe it
Or
is.
maybe you throw that separate
Reminder in
flyer.
the paper even.
Yeah, just food for thought is. since
No,
you're
I like
sending this out
that.
to
Yeah, we
everybody.
might as well send it up to all at once. I agree.
Well, I think it says that in there, abandoned unlicensed vehicles and trailers. So I think we're covered. The main areas of concern involved, but are not limited to the following: abandoned unlicensed vehicles and trailers. I think that covers everything that needs a license.
Are you talking about licensing ATVs, Travis?
Well, just we have a yearly registration for your ATVs and that
Yeah.
you have to,
Have a license.
Just a reminder.
I was
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's not bad. That's a good idea.
Can we just make it a note at the bottom of the letter? And just say, reminder, your ATV registrations are due,
Yeah, I think that's,
just that simple.
yeah. Do at the beginning of the year, is that?
Yeah, you can leave the letter alone up top and just put something.
Separate piece of paper in there too, even,
Or just,
or whatever, yeah.
There's no further discussion. Let's vote on that motion.
Dennis Kramer,
I,
Scott Corney,
Aye.
Jason
Aye.
Weasey, Paul Kraus,
Aye. Item B, discussion and possible third reading of ordinance 664 regarding parking of trailers on public streets.
the other one was the floodplain.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So this is the one that you still need.
This is the third reading of it, of ordinance 664.
Just the first paragraph or the whole thing?
Go to passage of ordinances in the red where it says third and final reading.
All right, I'd like to move for the third and final reading and passage of ordinance number 664, which reads, an ordinance of the Village of Arlington, Nebraska, authorizing and imposing rules and restrictions on the parking of detached trailers in the Village of Arlington, Washington County, Nebraska, providing penalties for violations of this ordinance herewith and providing for an effective date.
Jason, second.
We have a motion and a second for the third and final reading and passage of ordinance 664. If there's no further discussion, let's have a roll call vote.
Scott McCormick,
Aye.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer,
Aye.
Paul Kraus,
Aye. Ordinance 664 is passed and adopted this 15th day of February 2021. Item C, discussion and possible second reading of ordinance 667 to amend violation penalty.
Make a motion for second reading of Village of Arlington Ordinance 667. Section 1 Amendment 4281010 violation penalty of the Arlington Municipal Code is hereby amended as follows. We will be adding additionally, any person, firm, association, or corporation in violation of any provisions of the Arlington Municipal Code shall upon conviction also be required to pay for any costs incurred by the village in connection with the citation and enforcement of any misdemeanors. Such costs shall include, but are not necessarily limited to, service of process and publication.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for the second reading of ordinance 667. No further discussion. Let's vote on that motion.
Jason Weasey,
We good?
I read it.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Jason.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Travis Kramer,
Aye.
Scott McCormick,
Aye.
Paul Kraus,
Aye. Discussion and possible approval of paying bonds. I'm not sure that's why everybody's here. We could probably move that down the list unless somebody wants to stay around for that. So we'll come back to item D. We've got a lot of people here waiting. Item A, Gateway Development Update from Michael Rooks. Mike, we'll open up your microphone. How are you doing tonight?
I'm warm. That's a positive.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's a little chilly, but thank you for letting me up here via Zoom instead of driving up there. I appreciate that. Just wanted to give you guys kind of a quarterly update of what's been going on with Gateway and for the 2021 year. You know, a couple of things we have right now. We had 4 new investors come on for 2021. Angel Share, KRW, the City of Arlington, and Inside Properties came on. We are going to be a pass-through for state funds for several projects going forward. So sometimes to get funding from the state and federal government, you have to have a nonprofit as a pass-through. So Gateway will be doing that going forward for several projects over in the Blair area, one on Cargill's campus and the other one not. So learning about that right now, but it's a very interesting project to do that. We've had 1 site visit so far in 2021. We're supposed to have 2. 1 was postponed due to COVID, but we should get that going here hopefully the next couple weeks. Our housing study should be completed mid-March or so. And with that, then we should be able to go forward with some better direction on what we really need to be focusing on in each community and as a county in general. So that I'm pretty excited about that. Of course, some of the things we already knew were going to be in there. The vacancy rates are very low in Washington County for both homes for sale and for rent. They are under 1.9% currently. Typically, you want to be around 7%. So you can have a fluctuation, people moving in, moving out. Right now, as soon as something comes on the market, it's gone. I've had several conversations with realtors, and that sweet spot between 175 and 250, there's just nothing right now. So it's tough to really bring in workforce and workforce housing in this area right now. So that's one thing I think we should really be focusing on once that housing study is complete. So we can get some other developers and start looking at projects that way. And then I knew this already somewhat, but 38% of people working in Washington County commute in. So they're living in Iowa, they're living in Fremont, or they're living down in Omaha. So again, how can we change that so more people are actually living in Washington County and working there so we can get the tax dollars? So that's another focus that we're really looking at there. A couple of our projects last year, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not in our last meeting, but once they start up, and the main projects I'm referring to would be Dollar General and the Holiday Inn Express. Once they actually start up, those two projects will support roughly 808 jobs in construction throughout this year. So that's going to bring significant tax dollars into Washington County. And hopefully an additional 127 retail and hospitality pieces from that. So that's pretty exciting. With that, once all the projects that we landed in 2020 are up and running, we should have roughly dollars of additional payroll injected into the county. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, of course, it's going to take a little bit to get that up and running, but those are some really good numbers that we haven't seen for a while. So pretty excited. Another piece, and sorry, I missed this, in 2021, we actually landed 2 projects so far. Project Fern, we landed. It is an expansion. It is roughly a $30 to $40 million expansion on the Cargill campus. They will break ground on that hopefully in March. And then Project Moo is another expansion. And they just received they were just approved by the board for LB 840 funds, and we go in front of Blair City Council next week to get that solidified. And once that happens, they'll be moving forward with a good expansion as well. So within the months of January and February, we already have 2 expansions in Washington County, which is great. We have an additional 12 new open projects that are looking in Washington County. So we're moving at the same pace, if not faster than we were last year. So I'm pretty excited about that. Besides for just the project, so I really want to look at once we get the housing study done, and I want to start focusing on how can we help our existing businesses secure new employees. That's one thing that has been brought up this year already. We have a couple new projects coming in with Dollar General. That's 400 jobs. That's great, but how is someone that has job openings right now supposed to compete with them? So I'm going to start focusing on that a little bit more and figuring out how we can work with the community colleges and our local universities and make Washington County stand out a little bit more when the students are actually looking for full-time jobs. We really haven't done that in the past, and I think I've got some ideas. I just started working on those this week, but that's going to be another project. That went really good. Travis was actually at our board meeting this last week. I appreciate that, Travis. Thank you for attending.
Great meeting. Thank you.
Excellent. Hopefully we can start having them in person sometime this year. But no, it was, we're doing a lot of good things right now, and I'm really excited about that. So I'd like to open it up for questions if you have anything, or is there anything you would like me to focus on for the city of Arlington? Sit down with her and talk about some of the infrastructure and things going forward around Arlington there, so we can get a better lay of the land. But besides for that, what questions do you guys have for me?
I really don't have nothing at this time.
Okay.
I will say, They have some really fantastic opportunities that they're working with to bring businesses growth into Washington County. It was kind of an eye opener, to be honest with you. I didn't really realize what I was getting into, didn't know what to expect. And after the first meeting, it was kind of one of those wow moments. You kind of step back and go, wow, Michael's got a lot going on here, and it's good to see.
Thank you.
I guess I would
And if you guys.
mention that, like he mentioned, that, you know, what can Washington County do to get employees to come and look to Washington County? Well, what can Arlington do in Washington County to get maybe some of those eyes looking on what can we do to get some of their help with bringing business in and things for our community?
Yeah.
That's why we've joined.
Yeah, and you know, and economic development is different for every community, every county. So that's one thing that we have talked about with the board, what you guys are kind of looking for. And yeah, I agree. We need to look at to get some of the businesses, the smaller businesses into Arlington, housing into Arlington. And we need to look at the infrastructure and see what we can do to bring bigger businesses to the outskirts of Arlington as well. You know, I would hate to submit an RFP when we don't have the capabilities of power, water, sewer, something like that. So I need to get a little more detail on that still. But no, I think there are some good things happening right now with MAPPA. And I think I should be able to talk to you guys about that in the next couple of months. We're looking at some grant opportunities that could be focused in the Arlington area. Still working through that, and to bring some businesses into Arlington as well.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael. I invite you to stay on the Zoom meeting here if you can for 2 more items. I don't know if you've got a copy of our agenda in front of you, but we've got some people here interested in forming a downtown action committee. So I invite you to stay and listen to that discussion. And if you've got any input, let us know.
Definitely. I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. I am working with MAPPA as well on a broadband initiative. And I see you guys have that on, well, you're talking about broadband as well. So I'd be more than happy to have a discussion later on about that. So,
all right.
Yes, I'll definitely stay on for a couple pieces.
We'll make sure to keep you in the loop on any broadband issues then. All right. Do we have Nick Iverson on? Yes. Item B, request to appear by Nick Iverson regarding possible approval of painting addresses on the curbs for an Eagle Scout project.
Hello.
Hi, Nick.
So I could so tonight I would like to present you my Eagle Scout project for the city of Arlington.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yep, we could see your PowerPoint. It's loading. We can see it now, Nick. Go ahead.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Nick Iverson, and I'm a Boy Scout for Troop 145 in Arlington. And I'm here tonight to present you my Eagle Scout project for the city of Arlington. Am I able to? Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yep, we can see it. Go ahead, Nick.
Just tell me when you're ready to go to the next one.
Oh, okay. And then what is my project? For my project, I would like to do for the city of Arlington, I would like to paint the house numbers on the curbs of streets 4th Street through 9th Street, and then from Eagle to Dodge in Arlington. I would paint the numbers on the curbs by the sidewalk if they had a sidewalk that led to the street. And then I would also paint the street numbers at the start of each street. And then it would be around 130 houses that would get the numbers painted from 4th Street through 9th Street, and the numbers would be 4 inches tall by 5 inches. And then you can go ahead and go on to slide 3. And then items I would use for my project, I would use a wire brush to clean the curbs and to help the numbers stick, and masking tape to keep the numbers in place while I paint. I would also use curb number stencils to make the numbers. And then I would use the Rust-Oleum flat protective enamel spray paint to paint the numbers. And to finish my project, I would use the Rust-Oleum clear coat that would help the numbers stay longer. The paint would last 4 to 6 years when completed. And then I have pictures of the Rust-Oleum flat paint and then the clear coat. And then why do I think it'd be beneficial? I think it'd be beneficial because it would help first responders find the right house quickly in the emergency. It would also help delivery drivers find the right house so packages get to the right places. Downside is about the numbers is if you get a foot of snow like that's on the ground right now, you're not going to see them. And then you should be good to go on to the next one. And then cost of my project and how I would like to raise money. I would like to raise money by having a pancake feed in the middle of March. And I would also like to paint the numbers starting at the beginning of April. I believe the total cost of my project would be around $300 to $400. I would also ask the fire department to donate. And then go ahead and go on to the next slide. And then questions. Does anybody have any questions?
I think that's something that a lot of organizations used to do for fundraisers. I think it's a good idea. We haven't seen it done for a while. Other than just permission to do it, what do you need from us?
Approval and then really asking, is it hard to set up like a fundraiser, like at the city auditorium? Do I need permission to do that?
Yeah, you definitely have to find a date that's open.
Okay.
Nikki, do you remember our rates on fundraisers, something like that? Or is that something that the board may be willing to waive for a fundraiser like this, or what would?
I mean, it depends on how, does he just need it for a day or half day or?
Nick, how long would you need the auditorium for? 1 day to set up or just 1 day to have it and set up?
Probably like I would need it for a whole day, but it would be over like 2 days because I would have to, like, I would probably sit up at night and then have the pancake breakfast in the morning.
Yep, that makes sense. Nikki's looking at our calendar right now. Do you have any idea of dates that you would like to use that for?
Oh, I don't have
Oh, I thought you were grabbing the calendar, sorry. Oh, that's you were grabbing, sorry. We can leave it though.
That doesn't need to be done right now on the calendar.
I didn't know if you were thinking of us helping you with dates or not, Nick, sorry.
Okay. And I did not have a date in mind.
Okay,
The nonprofit price is $200 for 24 hours to rent the auditorium.
Okay.
I think can I make a
I would
motion?
be willing to
Because
waive
he's
that
do- yeah,
fee or
he's-
even
he's doing-
possibly find someone that would, a business that may want to donate some portion of that fee.
He's doing something to help the community, so.
I think so. You could make a motion however you want.
I was just gonna make a motion to allow Nick to do his project and to allow him to use auditorium for a fundraiser for it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Nikki? If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McCorney.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye.
We look forward to seeing it come to fruition, Nick. Good job.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, good
Thank you for your
presentation.
time.
Have a good night.
Yep, you too. And thanks again.
Of course.
Thank you. All right. Is there any further discussion on Nick's project? If not, we'll move on to item C. Request to appear by Don Nelson regarding formation of a downtown action committee. Judging by the people in the room, it looks like that's why I'm thinking most of you are here.
So
So,
I'm Don.
Go ahead, Don.
And, I requested this from Nikki. In talking with many of the small businesses down here, I bought the Dr. Sullivan building this summer, and it just came to my mind that there's room for some things that could happen downtown to try and encourage small business. My building's been empty for a long time, and I've put a sign up, and I virtually nobody is interested. It's like, why is nobody interested in coming to Arlington? I don't understand that. I haven't had one call. So in talking to people, I think it's become very obvious to me that there are things that we could do. I think there's things that the village can do, and I think there's things that we could do possibly with forming a committee, maybe raising money, maybe encouraging like the Washington County thing is doing. But Kelsey has made a little presentation of notes, and I think I'm gonna let her kind of talk to you guys a little bit.
Well, he's giving me more credit than is due, but, so I'm Kelsey Wolf, and I'm one of those people that Don has been talking to, and conversations have been really happening over the last year among business owners. And some have storefronts here in town, some don't, but just about how we can make our great community even greater. So, when we think about Arlington, I mean, Andy and I'm from a small town originally. We bought a house in Omaha. We started thinking about wanting to start a family. And where did we want to go? To a small town outside of the metropolitan area. So we moved here, and part of that is because Arlington is a great community. It's recognized as one of the best in the US, and especially the Midwest. So when we think about that, we know we have a great foundation, but like Don is saying, how can we turn what we have here into something that we're proud of and that can generate more business for those that do exist. So I think about communities like Valley and Ashland, and when I was growing up, they were nothing to talk about. I mean, if anything, to be quite honest, we thought they were not beautiful little communities. And now you drive through and you can spend a Saturday morning and a whole weekend in those small towns, visiting the shops, grabbing a cup of coffee, having lunch with your friends, even having a glass of wine at some of the vineyards and things around those areas. And so as I've been talking, as Don's been talking, as Susan's been talking, a lot of us, it's like, how can we make Arlington a place like that where not only people from other communities think, hey, let's go spend the day in Arlington, but even our own community can come out on Saturday mornings and walk with their kids through downtown, spend some time sitting in a little green area down here. So I think one of our objectives for tonight is to, one, start to present our vision to the board and ask the board's support in that. Two, to hear what's going on with the Gateway development or corporation or what it is, and figure out what that line of communication is between those of us who are passionate about things happening here in Arlington and what's happening with the Gateway development. Like, how do we bridge that gap? How can we be involved in that? And then three, to ask questions of what's already happening in Arlington. Are there committees already formed? Are there funds and grants that are already being applied for and or renewed yearly? What's happening, and how can we partner with what's already going on here, so. I don't know if anyone has any.
Most of the committees that we've got going on so far are kind of ad hoc committees that are pretty narrowly focused on a project. We've got the Summer Sizzle Committee. We've taken them in under the village's wing for insurance reasons. We've got the Dog Park Committee, and we're working with them. Would like to see something there. Obviously, they're going to do some fundraising. That's helpful. We've got another, I'm not even sure if it's really a committee with the pond, but we've got some people interested in the pond project. So a downtown development action committee, I don't care what you call it, but it's something that I've always thought would be a good thing for us. There's a lot of grants out there, but it seems like it takes another entity to help drive that. There's downtown beautification grants that I know Wayne has gotten. I think Valley, Blair, there's a lot of those cities that have done that. I think that's the part that we've been missing as a town, is a committee that wants to help drive that. It's pretty hard to keep that momentum on those things if you don't have a committee of people that are pretty narrowly focused on what they want to do. So I'm all for whatever you guys want to call this. If it's a economic development downtown, whatever it's called. I don't know anybody on the board. Does anybody else have any thoughts on it?
That's a great idea. We need somebody to drive the vision of what it looks like so that we can get our head around what we're going for and trying to achieve.
Well, I think there are several people, including Kelsey and Tracy and Dave Cartwright mentioned he would be interested. Mark both said he would be interested. There are many business.
I think we could easily come up with a couple of dozen people that would come to me.
And I think one of the things that has come up in the conversation is obviously raising money is going to be a big part of the committee. It's real easy to come up with ideas, but you got to have some money to be able to carry any of those projects forward. And in raising money, one of the big driving factors is let's say you're going to have a fundraiser, people are going to want to know, is it tax deductible? So would we need to, as part of the committee, form some sort of a?
So in our community, we already have a community fund that could be a pass-through for that.
Okay.
I'm the vice president of that. Shauna Coger is the president of it.
Okay.
Les Parr is on there. We have members from the bank. So there's a variety of people. You guys can just come.
So we could use that. We could piggyback with that.
Most definitely.
Perfect. And like you said, Travis, I feel like it is our responsibility to help create that vision.
Yeah.
And figure out the different parts that go into that.
And that community fund is part of the great day of giving, the big give day, isn't it?
Yep.
So people can also earmark, if you guys are vocal about your group and you get it out there, you can have people earmark funds to go specifically towards that group if you want through the day of giving.
Which right now, the Arlington Community Fund, we are putting together our website for that. So I would talk to Shauna as soon as you can.
Nice.
We could put that down as one of our sources. But again, you kind of have to have that, you have to have a mission statement. So those are the things that are a part of that too. So, but we're definitely 100% behind you guys creating a group. That's for sure.
As far as that Arlington Community Fund, can you share a little bit more on that? Because I'm not even familiar.
Sure. So the Arlington Community Fund is what was originally created to help build the Two Rivers State Bank ballpark down there. And so a lot of the money that people donated, the big plaque that's hanging on the concession stand there. So all those people that donated, they would have donated their money through that. So Carol Wasinius and that group originally did that. So, and so it's been around for whatever, 15 years. So.
All right.
So I
So
would
like they
say,
helped pay for the flags that are on the highway, things like that. The digital billboard sign paid for that.
Okay.
So people, memorial funds, et cetera, can donate to that too. But we have pass-through agreements for multiple people that do scholarships for kids at the school.
I know the swimming pool fund, part of that went through there when we were trying to raise money for the swimming pool.
Yep.
So I think it makes sense for us to start the process of soliciting members. Maybe we need to, like you said, write a mission statement, probably write some bylaws, maybe how many community members or how many members you want to have, things like that. And then we can kind of get started.
Yeah, and then do we need to bring that back to the board once kind of that's?
I think so. I think, bring it to us. I don't see where you guys are gonna have anything but support from the board, but yeah. bring it to us and we can help out with whatever we can, and at budget time, I don't know why we couldn't budget some money to help get this thing going. And
Sheila from what do you call it? Rich Wings, she mentioned she was totally in support of the idea and she would like to be on the membership too.
yeah. Yeah, it'll be just, seems like we just did it, but it won't be long. We'll be going through the budget season again here and allocating things. So now's the time to get started on it.
Sheila and I also had a conversation. It's a little bit different, but maybe not. But the conversation basically went something to the effect of there's several people, according to her, that are operating small businesses from homes and they don't have a place downtown, like a business front to operate their business. And I'm sitting there thinking, now, wait a minute, I got a store that's sitting there empty with multiple rooms in it. Maybe I don't have high-speed internet in there, but is there a way we could bring those people together? I mean, is there a way maybe we could operate? Maybe
This is something we had talked to Michael Rooks about with an action plan for economic development, having some pop-up businesses. I know we've done that with the Sugar Shack behind the barn there over the summer months. Anything like that, I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's get people together and put the word out.
Yeah, it just seems silly. We have people that feel they don't have a place to operate and I'm sitting there with a building sitting empty. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I mean, there's gotta be a way to work this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still on there. Do you want to
Yeah.
see it?
Mike, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, this is great. This is what we need. We need a group of people that is passionate about downtown development and moving forward. I'll be happy to help out however I can. My capstone, mind you, was a couple years ago, but my capstone for public administration was downtown rural development in the Midwest. So I would love to help you with this. I'm thinking like Main Street USA would be a great site to start looking at. There's a lot of things we can do. Please keep me informed of when you guys want to meet. I know Nikki has all my contact information. Nikki, please give that to them if they want that.
I would say
Yes, I will
opportunity
do the grant writing.
Nebraska.gov would be good too, to go to. There's resources for communities on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because talking about this is so, like, I'm excited. I'm like, oh yeah, the board supports it. We have people who want to go. And then I think about the logistics of it too. And I look at our downtown and I hear Dawn saying, we have spots available. But then on the other hand, I'm thinking, well, 2 months ago, I needed to move my gym to a bigger location. And all these buildings are filled with storage stuff, and it's residential in our downtown areas. And it's like, there's gonna be some logistical things too, to making it a reality that is beyond what I know how to do.
These are the kinds of questions we've been asking ourselves for a long time. Don't think that you're the only one. It's just, maybe we get more people together, we can come up with better answers, So when you guys do decide to meet, please let Nikki know. We can have 2 board members there without having a quorum. I would love to see if we can get volunteers from the board to come to the meeting. Maybe we mix it up, we don't all have to have the same people coming to the meetings, but I would like to have representation at your meetings too. And if we can get Mike to come, I think we'd have a wealth of people that all want the same thing.
Thank you.
Anything else you guys need from us?
I don't think this time, we could talk about that internet thing a little bit too. I think you should talk to Greg and get Greg to come out here. He made it sound like the conversations were going last year, then COVID hit, and then nothing has really happened since then. So I think maybe it makes sense to initiate a contact with him and maybe get him out here so that we can get in that maybe spring, summer plan, so that maybe they can do some sort of an improvement. I would like to be a part of that, because when you talk about bringing a business into my store, internet is everything. You gotta have internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no matter what you do with it, you gotta have internet.
Yeah. Well, that's coming right up. If you want to hang around for that discussion, we'd certainly love to have you involved in that. Kelsey, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Susan, did you have anything to add or anything?
No.
All right.
Go right now.
Thanks for coming, guys. All right. Discussion and possible approval of creating a communications committee, inviting ABB to a future board meeting to discuss future plans, current legislation for broadband in Nebraska.
Okay, so last Monday, there was a committee meeting and they had multiple bills. There was 5 of them that I actually wrote testimony for and presented last week. One's LB 388. Senator Friesen, it's the Adopt the Nebraska Broadband Bridge Act. This one discusses and talks about increasing speeds for underserved and unserved communities. We'd be underserved in our minds, I imagine. It's essential to increase the speeds across the state, and that's in that bill from 100 megabytes from, I'm sorry, 25 and 3 is the federal standard. 25 download, 3 upload. And so part of our application for our grant last fall that we applied for is that our current providers, so that they provide us with that. Some of these bills address the speed requirements. Some of these bills address grant money for communities. Some of these bills address money for current providers. So when I testified on those, I just talked about our hometown of Arlington currently has a single provider who advertises speeds of 25.3, but rarely is it able to provide that on a consistent basis for all in the community. We've talked about this before. Our grant, again, our proposal did not go through last year. It needs to be continually on our forefront, pushing for that. Be happy to work with whoever wants to help us do that. But Gordon's also working with a couple other people behind the scenes. And we're just curious if you guys are okay with creating a communications committee that could work either with American Broadband or with other potential providers, or making sure we're advocates in the legislature to get potential funding. Gordon had 2 other things he wanted to talk about, but with him not being here, we'll just wait till next month, I guess.
Yeah.
But the biggest one is this LB 388. They're gonna probably roll all the rest of the bills into that one. And this one is to help create better infrastructure for communities that are like us, where there's only one provider and there's little competition. So therefore, services might be not as good as they could if there was competition.
I think that's where we're at. I think I don't know, I feel with a lot of these discussions are that there's potential there. We've got fiber on 2town. It's just finding someone that wants to put the expense into running that to every house or every business or whatever it takes. So I'm certainly for more discussion on this.
Look for next month. It's good.
Yeah, we can do that.
And like you mentioned about setting up a meeting with them, I think doing that both with American Broadband and finding out if there's anybody else. We lived on Highway 31 just north of Elkhorn, and I saw the Great Plains.
They're the largest individual in
Great
the
Plains truck
state of
out there on
Nebraska.
Highway 31.
Great point.
Which well, that means there must be something out there. And I just stopped and talked to the truck, and then they had their salesman contact me. And we ended up getting Great Plains, and it was wonderful. I mean, they were just running by, but we were able to tap on. It costs a little bit to do it, but it was worth it.
It seems like that's the trouble, is getting them to stop and do that. They just want to go to the next big junction.
Yes.
But yeah, getting them
But I
to,
think that legislation you're talking about helps bring it into the communities. There's funding there's government funding that helps with this project, from what I understand.
it makes me wonder if we've got what we need. We just need a little push.
I think so. Well, for sure, at least to get the push through downtown first. I would say downtown and maybe the school, and then they can push out.
School has their own fiber line.
They do?
They're part of the ESU system. E-rate taxes pay for that.
Surprised to me that we can't get that too.
Well, it connects all the schools in that particular ESU, so
Yeah.
you can't branch off of that.
Mike over Works has something to add.
Let him
But
in.
this was new. I'd never heard that there's a line sitting outside of the Vets Club. Or-
Mike, anything you've got to add?
So like I
That's
said,
why
I'm
we
working
never-
www.nebraskaspeedtest.org. Anyone can go to this site and it will rate their internet connection. I would strongly does this, so it shows good or bad service. That way, when these articles pass at the state level and the federal level, you already have the background of how good your internet is within Arlington. So it's nebraskaspeedtest.org. Go to that, try it, test your speed, and MAPPA is accumulating all that data. And then once these things go through, they will look at the poor spots first. And I think Arlington, Fort Calhoun, some of those areas are going to definitely going to be in that area. And it should be easy for them to get there, County, Fremont, and Blair. So I definitely think you need to go to this website and try it out, especially the downtown businesses there in Arlington. Put your address in, try it. It's going to be helpful in the long run for getting fiber into the community.
I think if we could show them what we're seeing on our end of your Zoom call, it would help too. We're having a lot of buffering issues. It seems like we're having trouble getting your feed. So,
Sorry. I will send you over stuff that you can send out.
sounds good. Anything else on this matter?
That was it. Thank you.
It's the worst at between 3 and 6 o'clock, or 3 and 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the evening, afternoon on weekdays.
Yeah.
When it's worse.
Mhm. All right. Thank you, Mike, if you can still hear us, for your time. Item E, discussion and possible appointment of Steve Slikis to the Planning Commission. This was a recommendation from Gordon. Is everybody comfortable enough? Going ahead and moving forward with this now.
What is a planning commission?
The Planning Commission is an unpaid committee that we send a lot of zoning and ordinance changes to.
They wrote our comprehensive plan.
So we get recommendations from the Planning Commission when we have requests for a zoning change, or a zoning, what's the word I'm looking for?
Deviation.
A deviate,
Variance?
variance, that's what I'm
So
asking.
maybe you might want to have a person from that committee, at least either on our committee or at least sharing information with our committee.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, and I think we've probably got a couple on that committee that would be interested, so we'll make sure we let them know that information too. Just, yeah, make sure you give Nikki some notice before you guys meet.
We'll get that figured out.
We'll get as many people there as we
We
can.
may even want to have a place to meet so we can talk to you.
We're happy to let you use this.
We could use this room for that. That'd be,
I'll make a motion to accept the appointment of Steve Slikis to the Planning Commission.
Second.
Nikki, we have a motion and a second for the appointment of Steve Slikis to the Planning Commission. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Travis Kramer,
Aye.
Scott McCorney,
Aye.
Jason Lucy, Paul Kraus,
All right. Item F. Discussion and possible first reading of ordinance 668 to allow for electronic payment of warrants, which is a fancy word for checks. It has nothing to do with getting out of jail.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 668, warrants to include electronic payments. Whereas ordinance of the Village of Arlington, Nebraska, amending and replacing the warrant provisions of the revised municipal code of the village, repealing the original warrant provisions and providing for an effective date. Do we want to waive this? I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna ask Nikki if she was
We
hoping we
probably
would
waive
waive
that.
the
Otherwise, we gotta
normal.
wait 3 months. Sorry, I'm gonna start all over there. I move to introduce ordinance number 668 and move the statutory rules requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended.
Does this fit the requirements of waiving it? Trying to remember the rules for suspension.
If I explain why we're asking for this.
So that we can have immediate electronic pays versus checks.
Well, the postal service is a little bit
Yeah, that's causing
off
issues.
right now, and so it's been hard to get bills paid on time, and it just is causing all kinds of issues.
Sounds like an emergency.
It's an
Second.
emergency, yep.
It would hopefully alleviate us from some late fees we've been getting. We have a motion and a second to suspend the normal rules for the reading of ordinance 668. Let's have a roll call on that motion.
Brett McCormick,
Aye.
Jason Weasey,
Aye.
Travis Kramer,
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. The motion to suspend the rules was adopted by more than 3/4 of the village board, and the statutory rules are declared suspended for the consideration of ordinance 668.
I'd like to, that's what I got, a specific paragraph to read, sorry. I move for final passage of ordinance number 668, which reads, as I just read a little bit ago, I'll read it again. Warrants to include electronic payments. Whereas an ordinance of the Village of Arlington, Nebraska, amending and replacing the warrant provisions of the revised municipal code of the village, repealing the original warrant provisions and providing for an effective date. I'm going to summarize. This will allow all warrants, paper, check, or by digital or electronic payment drawn upon the village treasury must be signed by the chairman and countersigned by the village clerk stating the particular fund to which the warrant is chargeable. The person to whom it is payable and the purpose of the expenditure, digital or electric payments, shall likewise be first approved electronically, including email or messaging to one another by both the chairperson and village clerk. No money shall be paid upon warrants or drawn and by electronic payment. Each warrant shall specify the amount included of such fund it comes out of.
Second.
Shall ordinance 668 be passed and adopted? Let's have a roll call vote.
Jason
Aye.
Weasey, Travis Kramer,
Aye.
Scott McCormick,
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. The passage and adoption of ordinance 668 having been concurred in by a majority of all members of the village board has been passed and adopted this 15th day of February 2021. We should probably go back up to item D. I don't know that we need to make a move on this tonight, but I want to keep this in the forefront. We do have 900,000 in our sales tax account that we've been hoarding until we get this village building loan going. Got, where was the, after our last payment, it looks like we've got 181,000 left on the swimming pool bond. We could possibly pay that one off. I never did get a call in to Buchanan, Tobin. We can refinance it now, but I don't think we can call it early until possibly
2021, it said. On that, somewhere I saw that. I read it.
June 15, 2021.
Yeah.
What
June.
page is that? What page that's on?
30.
30, thank you.
We discussed this a little bit at our planning meeting, and I don't think we really came down with any firm numbers or what we wanted to pay, but we could also pay a big chunk on that building loan. That we can pay off early at any time.
Did we discuss the rates on those bonds, talking about which ones were the
And
highest?
that's what we've got here. The coupon number is the rates on those, I'm assuming.
One's 1.7 or no, 2. Okay, which one is this one? Swimming pool bond.
So the swimming pool bond is the one that's at 286 per preliminary. And then the water service bond is the one that started at 1,400,000.
Yeah, then there's numbers underneath there, the net cost,
Oh,
true cost, bond yield. All inclusive is 2 something. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't that be
gotcha.
the final one?
yep.
So we're looking at 1% on those swimming pool bonds. I wonder, maybe that, that's the smallest one. That would seem to make most sense to try and get rid of that one early, but at that percentage rate, maybe we'd be better off putting more money towards our building loan, which I don't think that went under 2 something. I think it was 3.5 and it might have gone down before we actually got the loan in, but we didn't get those numbers. Let's think about this until next month.
It sounded like that Austin would be fine with just giving us what the final reports are for each one or whatever. Or on this email anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm sure upon the recommendation, they could help us figure out which one to pay out to.
And we could refinance one of these. If we want to do that, I don't know how we can get a lot lower rate than what we're at on that.
Well, you're not going to, I don't think. Not-
They claim that there's substantial savings if we do, but then that locks us into
Another whatever. until they
less than
call.
5 years before we could pay it off early. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. John.
You too.
So let's try and figure out what we need to make these decisions next month. If we want to pay something off early, if we don't, I think it's,
So we need the exact date of when we can, the call date. We need the percentage for each one and the amount for each one. And that would be good enough for me to make a decision, I feel. Sure, I can do that. So the maturity date or the date at which they can call it originally. So if it is 2021, obviously if we have the money and we want to do it 2021, but if the other ones are like 2022 or whatever, but I think all 3 said 2021, didn't it on that?
well, and the 2 big ones.
November 21, 21.
So the call date or whatever, and then the percentage, that the rate of percentage on it of what that bond is.
And that should be what we've got in front of us tonight. I believe that's the coupon is what they call that.
But that's only on the swimming pool one though, right?
The big one here, this one is the water sewer that all got lumped together with the force main project. That would be the big bond for the water sewer. So according to my figures, we're at this point here. And the other email that we were looking at our planning meeting says that we're at no more than 761,000 for principal. So, that's a little more than I thought we were talking about spending at half of that reserve that we've got, but we'll get all those final balances, the balances as of now, interest rates, and we'll get those out. And then I think that's a discussion we should have when all 5 of us are here. We can have that next month. So be thinking about that, which ones you guys think are more important. We've got the 2 new ones are at about the same amount. We've got the highway bond at 1,020,000. We've got the building, that's a loan, so that could be paid off partially at any time. And that one's at 1,015,000 minus our payment from last month when we cleaned out the construction account, which was about 160 something. So that one's actually 800 and something thousand, but
Which you said you wanted to use sales tax money to pay. this
that's
off.
how we want, that's how we sold that, is by paying for that with sales tax money. So I'd like to see some of that surplus go towards the building loan. But we could also, we could probably take care of that swimming pool bond if we wanted. The only thing there is that's our lowest interest rate at 1 point. So,
Best to keep based on interest.
yeah. So let's think about that over the next month and have some discussion about how we'd like to move forward there.
There's no penalty paying the FDA one.
There's no penalty on the USDA loan. And once we hit that maturation date on the swimming pool bonds, which I'm not sure if it's we can refi 3 months early, but I don't know if we can pay it off 3 months early. So I'll find that out. And I couldn't get a hold of Tobin today for that, so. We'll get that stuff rounded up for our next meeting. Item G, does anybody have anything on the Washington County permit report? Anything for the Washington County Sheriffs? We'll go over your guys' meeting when we get down to committee reports, but anybody have anything for the sheriff other than that? All right, let's move on to the library report. We've got a lot of information in here from the library. Anybody have anything to add on that?
I think that was just their annual report, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they have to turn into the state. 17 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a pretty detailed report.
I thought it was pretty interesting that we had 4,524 virtual visitors to the library's website.
Well, apparently that means our,
Broadband's working okay.
yeah. Or we're getting some use out of our internet book. Don't they have to go through the website to check out the,
Not positive. So they have the number of wireless internet sessions at our library was 256. That's 6.8. Is that right there?
Yeah.
How's that project going this week? They said they were doing it this week.
Yeah, we got the cabinets all tore out, the flooring all tore out. He's gonna put them in tomorrow.
Nice.
Jim's gonna come in and put them in.
Cool.
So hopefully we're done. Well, we will be done by the end of the week.
Nice.
all right, if nothing else on the library, let's move on to committee reports. Streets has been pretty quiet for Jason and I. We haven't met. Did you have anything you want to add on that?
I don't have anything.
Parks, Travis and Gordon, did you guys have anything?
No, we're gonna meet this coming Thursday, if everything's going well, and start putting together our strategic plan for Parks and Rec. And that'll basically start outlining a mission and vision. Of course, our top projects as discussed in past planning sessions, put them on paper and try to collect all the different work people are doing, whether it be the pond project and things we're collecting there, and then starting to put them in a way that we can present them to the board and talk about together as a group where we rank them at, what we see is important, so that when it comes to budget time, we can plan accordingly and spend more money toward top projects. Or if it is a 10-year project, maybe we can start planning to do the things we need to do in that year. So the next year we can take a step forward. And I think that was one of the things that the NRD recommended that we have in place for the pond project. So that'll fit well with the other projects. And including things like the auditorium and the dreams of the library, what they wish they could do, and taking all those things and putting them in one place so we can say, where are we going to spend our money for Parks and Rec? And make sure we're using it wisely.
River development. So that's on your list.
Haven't done it yet, but that what it should be if that's, because that was one of them, right? Yeah, but we're gonna sit down, starting Thursdays, we'll be putting pen to paper.
Okay.
When's that meeting?
Thursday night. This Thursday, oh my gosh, this Thursday.
Cemetery, anything new and exciting going on there, Scott?
Oh, we had a couple things planned. Gordon had the COVID, got canceled, and snow kind of got in the way with John a couple times. We would like a nicer day when we go out and kind of look things over. We want to make sure we do something good with the Canoozy Memorial. Put something good in place there, make sure we make the right move. So we got some good ideas. We just want to make sure we get the right thing there. But yeah, it'd be nice when snow goes down, kind of get a good vision of what we're gonna do there.
Water and sewer, Travis and I met with James and why am I drawing Dwayne? Do you want to summarize that?
A great meeting. Matter of fact, I don't want to take away from James and his report. Do you mention anything about the things you found? Did you mention that in your report?
I'm not sure if it's, I don't have a copy of it. I'm not
Okay.
sure what's in that report.
So we met and talked about some of the, especially in wastewater, potential leaks, things that are costing us to pump more spring water to the Fremont plant, which is costing us per gallon. And James has found some things that are exciting that could be a substantial reduction in that. So I want to congratulate him on all his hard work so far of finding those and seeing what we can do as the next step to how we fix it, plug those cracks and go from there. But the meeting basically consisted of us talking about which lines need to be cambered to see if there's other possible problems, which segments could be shut off if they're not being used. So we're not taking on an infiltration. Oh gosh. We discussed a little bit about our system up at the water tower and that it is in its twilight years and is probably due.
Get that updated. I'm not sure they're having a hard time finding replacement parts for the skaters. And it'll have to be updated. Probably put that on next year's budget. I'm not sure how much it costs. We're gonna get somebody out here to look at it sometime this spring.
All right, item E, police. I know Jason and Scott had a meeting. How'd that go?
John, Tyler, and Mickey were also, well, we visited with the sheriff. I don't know who came with John. Was it your idea of the letter to send to everybody? You guys were talking about it before I walked in the door. Or Nikki. Yeah. Yep, came up with the idea of the letter. Sheriff thought it'd be good to help enforce it. And
Now that we have our parking.
Yep.
We're in line, maybe they can start.
They said, the sheriff said he'd be happy to be the one to deliver nuisance letters rather than worrying about them just going to the post office, being registered letter. They'd be happy to do a door knock and deliver them in person. I thought it was a good meeting, Scott, didn't you? Or-
Yeah, it was at the time, so.
Yep.
All right, let's go to James. James, what do you have for us?
What Travis was talking about, some of the infiltration problems. The main one is still the one at Katy, down on the east end of Katy. I tried to get Buck out here. His camera's not long enough to reach the direction that we need him to reach. I was kind of running out of options. The last time Johnson Services was out and did the manhole rehab, I don't know how you could explain, a bit of a fallout, I guess. I wasn't happy with the way that they handled things. So I've been a little reluctant to call them to have them come back out, but we're running out of options. So I called Johnson Services. I talked to a guy, his name's Brett. He's in charge of the Midwest division here, and he apologized. So that line of communications went back up. He wants to work with us again. So he's got a crew that was gonna be in Lincoln last week. With the weather, they shut their crews down. They didn't have anybody working outside. They were gonna send a couple people here. I talked to you about that, Paul. It's probably gonna cost about $500 to televise that line, and then they would have eyes on it to know what it's gonna cost, what it's gonna do to fix it, how much it's gonna cost. Hopefully, he said he should be able to have somebody out later this week, like a 2-man crew. They'll have a tripod, they'll send somebody down, they'll get good eyes on it. We'll get to see what's going on there. That'll be great, because I've been down in there with the phone, you really can't see what's going on. And then we'll get, they'll send us some quotes on different ways to fix it. And that is something that absolutely, I think if we get that fixed, we're gonna see it immediately. It's infiltration that it sounds like a waterfall down there, so it's a lot of infiltration all day, every day. So we'll get that one fixed hopefully soon. They're also gonna send a salesman out, early spring. We do still have some more manholes that need rehab. So they're gonna look at those, give us a quote for that, and we'll go from there on those. As far as what's going on with the cold weather right now, there are extra heaters in the well houses and H Street. Make sure nothing freezes up there. I think that's all I got.
Now, I see you've got Power Tech was in town to service the generator at the water treatment plant. Didn't we contract with those guys to do the generator up at the water plant as well? Or
They do them both, but they do them at different times.
okay,
The one down at the wastewater treatment plant was done at the end of last year, I believe. So it'll be done again sometime later this year.
okay. I didn't know if they were supposed to be doing them all in the same stop or they'd split. Okay.
Yeah, they've just been on different schedules.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions for James? If not, thank you for coming. And yeah, let us know when you know something on Katy Street.
If we get a quote, is that something that, I mean, if we get have a special meeting to get that approved, or would you rather just wait?
Let's see what the quotes are, and if we can get it, if you can get a quote closer to our next meeting, it's probably, I would imagine it's probably gonna be something we should talk about as a board, but I don't think it's gonna be a $500 fix, do
I
you?
don't think so either. Unfortunately.
Yeah, we should discuss it if it's gonna be a large expense, so hopefully we can get that in time for our next meeting, maybe.
I'm hoping so, if I can get out here this week or next week.
Did you have Kelly come look at it too then, or?
He wasn't able, he came.
Because the snow's there, so he has
Well,
no idea.
He couldn't see what's going on. He's like, I need better eyes. So he,
So he wants the camera too.
yeah, so I was gonna have Trek come out, but it seems like just to get Trek here, it's $1,000 just to get him in the city.
Gotcha.
So this guy's gonna do it for 500. We'll kind of get an eye on it. I can give that information to Kelly. Maybe we'll get a couple quotes.
Yeah.
So we'll see what's going on.
James, quick question for you. Do you have the report by chance?
I don't.
Here you go, James. I think it's here, probably. Somewhere in there. Yeah. Oh, right here. There you go, James.
Just a quick question on the back page, flip that over. Notice towards the bottom says lift station data.
Okay.
And look at the gallons pumped. So say January 20 3.8 million gallons and the runtime is 140, 148 hours, I'm guessing.
Yep.
But if you look this year, total gallons pumped is 2.9 million, so 900,000 less. But the runtime is a lot higher.
Yeah, I've talked to Dwayne about that. I have to have Trek out here to suck that pit out.
Okay.
He thinks that there's sand that's blocking some of the openings where it's, brings stuff in. So we got to get that all sucked out and cleaned out. And he said that should take care of it. Because I looked at when the pumps are running to make sure that they're still pumping what they usually do as far as gallons per minute. It fluctuates a little bit, but it's still pretty close to what they normally pump. So he doesn't think that the pumps are clogged or anything is jammed up there. So I'll have to get Trek out here.
Yeah, just curiosity. I was looking just.
And to get him here, like I said, it seems like just to get him here is kind of expensive. So I want to do it. I want to try to get it all done at one time.
Which pump is the one that we had rebuilt after the flood?
I wasn't here, so I'm not sure which one.
What do you mean, which one?
I thought we had one of those pumps rebuilt after the flood.
We had a new one put in, a brand new.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you guys pull the pump, I'm not sure if it's one or two.
Okay.
I could look at, I can go down in there. and
I guess if we're having a pump issue, if we're not sure if we're having a pump issue and that thing might still be under warranty,
Okay,
I'd like to know if that's the one that we replaced or not. See if you can find out any information about that from Dwayne. And make sure that we're not missing out on a warranty or anything there.
I'll do that. Like I said, he doesn't think it's anything to do with the pump.
Okay.
We just need to get
Yeah, it's almost
that pit cleaned out a lot better than.
gallons less and lots more time. 40 hours more time for each pump.
All right. Anything else for James? All right. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, James. See, James, stay warm.
All right, yeah, you guys too.
All right, John. Streets report.
Well, the streets part, like I said, we met with Sheriff Robinson on them ongoing issues. Just a lot of general maintenance on our equipment. This cool weather's been kind of hard on things. And the amount of snow has been hard on things too, so it's kind of an ongoing daily thing. We have to work on something. We're still trying to get our dump truck brakes to work perfect, but we're getting them. We did meet with the Parks Committee on the bathroom remodel. We kind of drafted up a couple little drawings just so you guys can see a couple ideas we have. I don't know if you have them in front of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
The one is a addition, which would be on the west side of the building, between the closet addition and bathroom addition that was put on. And
Is that the page that says pool shack on the bottom, or is that the other one?
That would be where the pool shack is. That would be coming out the west side. It's just it's an idea. And we're just kind of spitfiring ideas around. Travis and I were-
Absolutely.
Tyler met, and we kind of drew some things up. I know Travis had mentioned that the library might need more room. We can sure.
Well, and that's one of those, having everybody throw out their ideas of what we might do. This is another one of those, what we could do.
The benefit of something like an addition would be if there was a large event in the park, you could use these bathrooms as an overflow for the current bathrooms that we have, and they would be a little bit nicer.
So this is a hallway?
That would be a hallway going through, yes. And then the exterior door going out the west side.
So you could access it from either the inside or the
It could
outside.
be another entrance to the auditorium as well, yes.
Okay.
Or exit.
Not a bad idea.
No, it's a cool idea.
There's plenty of room there, and if Travis, if we wanted to, you could probably do some sort of a kitchen area there. if
Oh, yeah.
need be.
Yes.
If need be.
So one of the thoughts was if the library was going to expand, where would they go? And the only space available right there working around that area would be if the kitchen, the auditorium relocated somewhere and they could take that area and make that the rest of the library. Well, where would you put the kitchen then? And that was kind of the same thing as well. Geez, maybe on this side. But again, these are just some of those,
Yeah, just.
let people dream
Yeah.
and what can we come up with?
And the other one is just the current bathroom, which is gonna be, lack of a better term, a pain, because you're gonna have to break a bunch of concrete out to get plumbing run and everything else. Whereas if you just started from scratch, I haven't got any prices. I don't know which direction we wanna go yet, so. But at least I have something for them to look at now, so.
Yeah.
That was that. We have been continuing to do the work on the bathrooms down at Bell Creek Park, kind of came to a standstill now because of the weather. Hopefully it straightens out next week. We can get in there and get the interior done, and, because I think that has to be done by the end of March. On another note, I don't know if you've noticed that he did get the fences around the old sewer plant completed except for the barbed wire. I have that to discuss about the possible tree dump site down there now. Other than that, it's just been your normal snow stuff. Hopefully it's about done. Is there any questions you guys have? Oh, we did put the tree grant in too. And I think most of them are in the cemetery area. We have a few in there. And I think, did you put that in the?
I didn't put the picture in there, so.
Okay. Next month we'll put it in there. You'll be able to see it. They won't approve it until May anyway, so we can get that in next month. You guys can look at the locations, and if you think that see something different, we can sure move them out.
We've got one in the park, right? We already have one in the park that we've got to
We
pay.
do have one. Originally, Ward had said something about getting reimbursed for the tree that was put in the Christmas lighting, but then he changed his mind and he just donated that. He said, just find a different location in there and put a tree in.
Okay.
So that was very nice of him to do that.
Give her a Snickers, would you?
Okay, so we approved the cleanup days for the 24th and the 1st. AgriLime, did we already buy AgriLime for
We did.
specifically for that field, or was it?
But it turns out we get paid for 2.5 loads and we've got 1 load so far, and it does need more.
Okay,
That was just a convenient time for Cruz to go down and get it. And he said that he's available early this spring to go get another load. I did call down to the quarry and they do have it. It's gone up just a little bit. I think last year it was right around 1,500. So it's gone up, $25.
we need a motion to approve that.
That would be FEMA funds as well.
So we'd be looking at 75% reimbursement plus county might reimburse us for half of the 25%.
And I know that they're gonna be calling me pretty soon, because last year they wanted to use that field, but it ended up COVID, they didn't have anything, but they're gonna need to use that field this year, so I need to get that. Hopefully he has the fences done.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve purchase of AgriLime in the amount of $1,524.40. Delivery by Cruise Trucking.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott Pelley.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. Item C, discussion and possible approval of a tree dump site now that the fence is done. And you'd like to see this down at the sewer plant?
I would, me and Nikki kind of discussed this a little bit. I think what we may attempt to do is get a padlock or lockbox and have people and make a sign that says the hours of operation, and they have to check a key out. Like if somebody wanted to use it for the weekend, they could check a key out for the weekend, for the Saturday, but then they'd be responsible for what's dumped in there. Like if the tire's in there, then they have to lock it when they leave. And another option is we could always just get like a trail cam or something and put it down there and it take pictures of people while there's movement down there. But I think it needs to be lock and key all the time, even during the day, you know. The village office is open from 9 to 3 most days and Tuesdays late, so if they see that on that sign, they can go, oh, yeah, I gotta get that. I got a Tuesday night to get it, or,
Yeah.
but that's our idea to keep.
Well, I like the idea of having an option for people to get in on the weekends.
And then they could check a key out Friday and they could go, you know, we could have a total of like 4 keys, and if they're all out, then that's where the camera would come into play, seeing who would dump. If it's not, I don't think.
Is there anything else you'd be worried about giving people keys to that? Is the offices locked up down there?
The offices are locked up, yeah. I don't know if there's any motions or anything that you guys have to do on your part. I mean, we can draft a sign up and you guys can look at it next month or whatever.
Are you worried about them putting them in places you don't want them to put it?
No, I'm worried about them dumping tires down there and stuff like that.
Trash that won't burn.
Trash that will, you know, we don't need a bunch of boards down there with nails sticking out of them and stuff. It's just a pain for everyone. It's, if it's made for limbs and yard waste, that's fine. I mean, we can even handle the yard waste, because if it doesn't burn, they'll just bury it. It's compost, so.
Well, I'm okay with that if we just want to give John direction to do as he sees fit there. Make sure you have signage up that this is what you want down there.
So I can check into a camera of some sort, just something that takes pictures. So that
Just to make sure you're,
Okay, discussion and possible approval of either filing a claim or repairing without filing a claim for the gutter damage at the auditorium due to snow ice load. This would be over
these are the new gutters that were just put up. And they had substantial ice and snow load in them. And actually the one above the kitchen door that goes into the auditorium underneath the shelter over there, it ripped off. The one section actually tore off.
and these were put on by McInnes.
They are, and no fault of theirs, I don't think. I mean, there was just a lot of stuff in it.
I'd call them and get them out here and see if it's a warranty issue or not.
Okay. I can get a hold of them.
If it's not a warranty issue, ask them what we need to do to prevent this from happening and get an estimate.
John, you mentioned something about those icebreakers.
And I think that's something that we need up there. And I'm gonna ask, if I get them out here, I'll ask them if there's any product or that they suggest for them. I don't know if you've ever seen them on the roofs. They break the ice up.
As it slides down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or even running the electric where it heats it, heating coil or something.
And I talked to Travis a little bit about that. The problem is that you need outlets everywhere too. And, you
We don't
know,
have any.
we don't have soffit outlets or anything, so.
Yeah, let's see if they'll help us out first. If they don't, then we need to file a claim. Anything else for John? If not, let's move on to M, clerk's report.
Mostly routine stuff as usual. We had the quarterly meeting, which we've already talked about. A couple things that came out of that we haven't talked about tonight is that every Friday we'll start sending a list of nuisance properties to Sheriff Robinson for them to address the following week. And we asked him if they would dedicate like an hour a week to nuisance enforcement. And he said that was something they could do. So we'll give them the list on Friday. They'll be able to go on Monday and see if these, if there's a trailer parked somewhere, if it's still there on Monday, they'll know, hey, that's been there all weekend. That kind of thing. Allison came up and we filled out all of the onboarding worksheets for G-Works. So they are, they have to work with Sean to get the software actually onto the computers because he has administrative password on it. So they are working on that. We have about 10 orders, I think, so far for those veteran banners. They're gonna let us just order them as they come in and not have to wait for 25, so we can start putting those up and maybe more people will be interested. And I've just been working with Trevor to try and update the cemetery records and stuff, just simple things like, you know, what number were they on? Where does he start numbering these and that kind of thing. Oh, yeah.
We talked briefly today. I'd just like to quiz the rest of the board about the telephone bill for the auditorium. We spend $57 a month for the phone in the hallway in the auditorium. I'm not sure if that gets used anymore. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? I mean, is that something we would want to talk about, maybe discontinuing, or is that worth $57 a month to keep one there? When was the last time somebody's kid called them from the auditorium to come get them?
It's probably set up originally for emergency purpose before cell phones.
Mhm.
Everybody has a cell phone now, every now and then.
Yeah, we don't have it on for discussion. I just thought I'd ask you guys what you think. And think about that. Let me know if you guys think we should do something.
Do we have any means of getting records on usage?
I can find out.
Sure, you just call American Broadband. I'm sure they get.
I mean, find out.
It's probably on their bill. It's probably on our monthly bill.
Well, they only put long distance calls on the bill. I don't think they track, they don't track them on your bill. I don't know if they can give us that information.
Maybe. I mean, it's worth a phone call.
Well,
Yeah,
they might not because they don't want us to cancel it too,
oh, yeah.
to be honest with you.
It's not a huge amount of money, but it's like, geez.
Probably not necessary.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't have anything else from Nikki.
Talking about phone, I had talked to Nikki a little bit about Verizon and maybe potentially switching to Selectel, which they're a reseller of Verizon. Matt might be able to get us a deal potentially, so. I don't know if that's why she threw the bill in here or not, but,
Always in
oh, is it? I've never noticed it before. That must be one of the bills that we've been having a hard time getting paid. Because it says it's 408 for 2 months worth.
Well, that one, a lot of times crosses in the mail,
Mhm.
but everything has been, it's been tricky. Really.
We did find out that the Visa bill was being sent to the wrong address for some reason. We weren't sending it to the right address. They didn't update us with something, so.
Well, and the other thing they said is that even if it goes to the right address, nobody's in the office. And so you have to wait for someone to actually go into the office and get the mail and process it.
And so they're still giving us late fees even when they don't have anybody there.
Well, we haven't sent it to the right address yet, so we don't know.
Jeez.
But that one is one that we'll be able to pay online now, so we won't have to worry about it.
All right, anything else? No, we need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second for adjournment. Let's vote on that motion.
Can we see?
Yep.
Travis Kramer?
Aye.
Scott Corning?
Aye.
Paul Kraus?
Aye. Easy, Gordon wasn't even here.